Dominoes.
Hey y'all. I cannot. How are y'all?
Good.
Mm-mm.
It's so good.
Hey.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. It's
Bye, Will.
bye, Will. Will, everybody says bye. They said bye.
Praise him.
Praise him. Yes. So it's been a while. How's everybody
It's been
doing?
a long while.
It's been a long while.
Great.
Well,
Great. We're doing really
Great.
good.
How about you, Juice? How are you? You're lit. So
yes, lit.
lit.
I'm trying to live my best life. Listen,
Yes, Kevin.
I'm trying.
Best life. So I actually don't know why we've missed so many weeks. What are we? Week 12,
Hold
maybe
on.
13.
Hold on.
We've missed 3 weeks. No,
I don't know if I can hear Jordan.
Because Brandon
You can't hear me?
decided.
Huh?
You can't hear me?
Because Brandon
Oh, I
decided
can now. Yeah, I
to
can.
post 3 of the same video in 1 week. So we were
So that
trying to
made
get
up.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so that made up all our weeks.
Mm-hmm. Even though we
Okay.
told Brandon not to, he still did it. So that was the
Yeah.
caveat.
I'm going to watch some 3 bloopers.
Oh, wow. I was probably cussing up a storm.
Yes, it was probably really bad, but the Lord forgives, and hopefully
You know what?
our
He knows
limited
my heart.
viewers forgive as well.
Say that.
What you
But
say?
let's
No regrets,
get back on
right,
track.
Jordan?
Excuse me. Let's get back
YOLO.
on track.
No regrets.
We're gonna get back on track here.
All right.
So every Sunday. So the topic of today is going to be suffering well post college. So I'll start with why this topic was of interest to me right now. So I'm in a phase where I think I want to go back to grad school, but I'm not really sure.
Did you say
I'm
do
not
it?
really sure. I'm not sure if I'm really considering going back full time, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to live like the broke college kid life as an adult after you've been making money. And then you have debt and I don't know. So I just started thinking, how do you all feel about college? And we're all post college. Some of us are using our degrees, some of us are not. Some of us are in graduate school or post.
Brandon.
I think I'm using mine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So we're half and half.
Yes.
Brandon is getting degrees on degrees.
Agree, Kevin.
Listen, there is destiny in the 4.
Brandon's
It
the only
always
one out here
matches up.
getting degrees on degrees on degrees on degrees on degrees. So my first question is just simply, how are you guys doing post college? Are you suffering well with your debt, with the results of your college experiences, of the lessons learned in college? Those of you who are Greek, what is life post college? Greek life, just How does that show up in your current life?
Go
ahead, Kevin.
All right, so
and you should start by saying how many years you've been out of college.
Why do I need to know that?
Because I think it adds context.
Context.
No,
more than 5 or less than 5.
All right,
more than 5 or less than 5.
Brandon, I think we're
I have a bachelor's
almost
of
more than 5.
I graduated in 2010, so that means I've been out of college.
You had a bachelor's of science?
Yes.
Political.
I mean, I thought it was a bachelor's of arts, though.
Don't come.
Come on.
Anyways, so I graduated in 2010. That means I've been out of college for 8 years. And I did have intentions to go to grad school, but the way that my checking account was set up was it was empty.
Don't even.
It was too empty for grad school.
There's the guy who works in financial aid.
Right, he works at colleges. Out of here.
You can't say that.
Listen, let me be great in my introduction.
Bruh, if the one who work in financial aid don't go to college because he ain't got the money, shouldn't nobody go to college.
Nobody. At least he's not out here going to
so there's context to be made.
At least not in Hampton. Howard still no money in financial aid.
It was Howard. But anyways, so the way that my checking account was set up, I needed a job, and I decided to stay in financial aid was my what was that? My work study job. And so I decided not to go to grad school. Plus, I was playing around in undergrad, and so I wasn't prepared to go to grad school, but I really wasn't prepared to go to undergrad. So it was just a chain effect of not being prepared. So I am now 8 years, and I'm considering going to grad school. I worked in higher ed and still have not got a school to pay for my degree because I don't know if I want to get one. Student loans are the devil. I would tell anybody, if you don't have to take out student loans, don't take them out. They are a great resource, but if you don't need to take them out, do not take them out because you do have to pay them back, and nobody wants to add on a student loan bill of $200 to $400 a month when you don't have to. So be very responsible and thoughtful when you take out student loans. So you do have to pay them back. I did avoid them for a long time, but you do have to pay them back.
You pay yours back now?
I just started consistently, but that's
8 years later.
And they're gonna judge me. But that's also a problem though, because had I started paying when I graduated, I would technically be about to be done. But the way again my checking account was set up, it was not there. So I don't use my degree. My degree's in political science, and I work in financial aid. You can't get a degree in financial aid, but in order for me to progress, I definitely need to have a bachelor's degree. So I think there is value depending on what you're doing.
A bachelor's or master's?
Say it again.
You said to progress, you need a bachelor's?
In order to progress, you need degrees.
Degrees with the S.
Yes. So I've theoretically gotten probably as far as I'll be able to get off of the strength of my bachelor's degree. So I will have to get a master's degree. So I think depending on where you are, what you're doing professionally, whether you need to continue in education. I don't think every profession needs degrees, but I think you also have to balance degrees and experience. So, because I also hire people, so I'm looking at, do you have a degree? I don't care where it's from, but do you also have experience? So I think balancing the two, being thoughtful about your student loan debt, because you got to pay it back. Yep, all that good stuff.
All right. What about you? Yeah. You said the one with multiple degrees.
Yes, multiple.
I only because I'm in education though. So I am 7 years past my undergraduate degree, which is a Bachelor of Science in Biology. I thought I was going to be like a veterinarian, turn crime scene investigator, turn police detective, turn
I remember all those too.
Community organizer, turn.
I remember all of those too.
Yes.
You organized. You just made that up.
Swear. I applied for it and everything, and they said I should be a pastor. So then I was going to be a pastor.
Oh, I remember that.
So at the end of my biology degree, I applied to the School of Religious Studies for a master's program, and School of Education for another master's program. Decided on the master's program in education, because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. Spent 2 years getting a master's in education, became a teacher, and then I became a school administrator, and just recently went back for my PhD. So I am in my second semester of my PhD. At which point I would encourage you to listen to me instead of watching me. Because if you're watching me, you're going to get really distracted. So just listen. I went back for my PhD, so I'm my second semester of my PhD. I would say that regardless of how you get your degree or credentials or license or whatever your field requires, whatever it takes, whether it's loans or grants, or going to school while you pursue it, you just got to get it. No, nothing in life is free, and the best things in life are going to have a high ticket on them. So I would say post-secondary education is absolutely necessary, regardless of whether it is the college route. I think she's looking at herself. Whether it's the college route, the credentialing, whatever credentials you need, or a license route, by any means necessary. Because on general, like relatively speaking, those with licenses or credentials or degrees make more than those who don't. They have a higher level of happiness in their career and their lives. It improves the quality of life. So absolutely go for more degrees, credentials, licenses.
That's what's up.
Or certificates. It's a new wave.
Degrees, licenses, and certs, just because it's not just degrees that you got to get.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad he added that.
Greetings, my name is Jordan. I've been out of college 4 years this year. I have a bachelor's. The university owns my bachelor's in political science.
Following your
not seen it. Am I using my degree? No. And I wish somebody would have told me there's nothing. Well, there is something you can do with the political science degree, but it's a very narrow degree. Granted, it gives you certain skills and stuff which you can utilize, but I wish they would have told me reconsider.
I'm sorry.
And this doesn't go to law school.
Yeah, your brother just took that's crazy because Kevin was actually he got a degree in it too.
I didn't even Anyway, send me a case loan. I blame you.
Yep, that's what I'm blaming too.
Go Obama.
That is rude.
Case loan got both of us.
I'm here with the political science degree. Anyway, but no, I do love politics. Eventually, that's still up in the air. But I do agree that having degree certifications, but I think experience and knowledge is like by all means something that I'm a strong advocate for. Whether that's some books, whether like Kevin said, it's an experience. I am considering or looking. I'm taking an online class right now. It's called Topics in Organizational Leadership. Thinking about to school for a master's, but I don't know what I want to do. So don't go to college and get all these things if you don't know what you want to do with it. That's stupid. But definitely, I think just getting more information. So I'm looking at free online classes right now, and just trying to get a better idea of what I believe God wants me to do, and if that requires a degree or certifications or different trainings and stuff like that. So, yeah, college has taught me a lot, though, I will say. And my involvements in college have definitely extended way past my collegiate years, which is awesome. So yeah. I don't say.
So I guess I could give
a college story though. Like you have to go.
Yeah. So I give a little background about me. So I've been out of college 3 years. My degree is in public health. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Public Health. So it was extremely specific, extremely concentrated. And it was a very rare program, which kind of drew me to it. And I do work in my field currently. It is my degree, which has primarily led me to have the success and progression that I've had thus far. But similar to Kevin, I think I've kind of reached my capacity. And Brandon, if you're saying words, I don't know what those are. Still don't know what those are. But consistently being at least once a week, someone asks me, Randy, when are you going back to grad school? Or what are you going back to grad school for? So it's definitely getting to that point. And I was fortunate enough to not have to take out any loans for my undergraduate degree because of scholarships. So I am very intentional about funding, and I refuse to pay for a grad degree because I didn't pay for an undergrad degree, which leads me into my next question. Do you all think that the debt was worth it?
I'll say that part of it was, and then part of it
Jordan.
wasn't. So I will say that, and this is terrible because I wasn't financial aid, but there's a part of my student loan debt that I should not have taken out. And looking back on it, I'm like, dang, like I really didn't need to take out that loan because really I used that loan to shop, like, and hang out and go eat. And I had a job. I was working like 38 hours, so it wasn't like I wasn't working too. So I do think there was a portion of my student loans that wasn't necessary that I borrowed. But I think that as far as paying for my housing, paying for my meal plan when I lived on campus, those student loans were necessary because I didn't have like my financial aid covered my tuition, but everything else I had to pay for. So the student loans were the resource that I had to cover that. So part of it I think was worth it. Part of it wasn't, and I think the part that wasn't is what I'm irritated with myself about.
Yeah. If they ask me right now, they said, "Listen, you can give your degree back. You can wipe all your degree, all your money back."
So they can't.
I'm walking. I will walk, but like happily to give them the degree back.
Really?
But you also say that because you're not using it though.
Even if like
you wouldn't, you don't know because you're not using it.
I don't have that much on loans that I have to pay back. But still, I'm just like.
But you're not using your degree. That's the thing. Like if you're using your degree, then you would say, my life without this degree, my life with this degree, will I get a degree back or would I keep it?
But I think I realize now that the degree doesn't make or break my quality of life. Considering it doesn't make or break my quality of life. Even if I did have a degree law school route, to me, I don't think it's like you have to have this degree to do this. Mainly because I'm more into like the entrepreneurship end of life that I'm just like the degree. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but there's a lot of ways to have a very great quality of life, and you don't have to have a degree. So that's why I would hand mine back.
But this is the question. This is the question. When we get at the bottom, dare I say at the bottom of the line, but generally speaking, do people who have degrees, credentials, or licenses make more, or are they happier than people without degrees, licenses, credentials, certifications?
I think it depends.
Yeah, I can't say they're happy.
Because I know some pastors that is doing well.
They don't have anything?
And don't got a degree.
Do they have certifications, licenses, or credentials?
Because you have to go to legitimate certificate.
Credential?
You don't have to.
Bro, you can buy stuff online.
Who you talking about?
That's
a credential.
Has it online, but I'm just saying that there are options for you not to go through the complete process of getting.
I don't think a degree. I don't think you can correlate a degree and quality of life.
Why can't you?
I agree.
Maybe
maybe success.
Because there's entrepreneurs. There's people who got. They got lemonade shops that is doing well.
Yeah,
they got cookies
in today's
that
society,
is good.
I can barely hear y'all.
I think it depends on the field at which you choose to go into. So, like, if you were to go into healthcare, education, finance,
because you ain't gonna be my doctor,
things like that.
Right.
You have to have a degree for those type of things. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you are an artist, if you want to provide some type of service, like if you're a beautician, if you're a barber, barbers have certificates, but then you also got the barbers who be like in a kitchen. So,
but even when you talk to those people, they will say like, "Oh, I just want to get some business classes because it does make my business experience better." So even people who are entrepreneurs will say like, even if they may not be, they might have a bachelor's in business or a business bachelor's in finance.
There's training for everything. Like you have to learn from somebody. If that's considered training or whatever, then of course you can't do anything without any type of knowledge about it. But I'm saying though, to go and have to train
a formal education.
Well,
do you need a formal education?
You have to consider certificates and
are certificates considered formal education?
Yes.
Our trainings.
They are.
formal.
Yeah, what is
I
formal?
mean, yeah. It's a training. You go to the training, you get a certificate. So,
question.
What I've been trained in a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
I just ain't got the certificate to show it.
I don't think I would consider certificates formal education.
I do, because you have to have some certificates in order to do certain things, though.
But does that make it formal education, or that's just a job requirement?
No, because when I look up certificates, dog, it's like 36 credit hours, 24 credit hours. So certificates.
I mean, certain certificates, but some are not.
Like what one?
I was going to say, because I can get certificates in financial aid, certain, like, I'm certified in such topic, and I just had to take a class.
So formal education is education that happens in like schools, classrooms. So
it's online. Online is not considered formal education?
By who? You have online classrooms.
It is.
Oh, like it's an online classroom. Okay, so formal education, the definition is to. So it's so is it certificate?
Bro, so then all of the things we're talking about
are there classes? So informal would be like learning at a museum, learning at a camp. Informal, like there's not like a true structure to it.
Oh, like grandpa take us and show us how to cut grass and stuff.
Right, it's still an education.
Okay, interesting.
Well, I think the question was experience, though. So I think that falls under experience line.
So Jordan's question, so Brandon's question was, does formal education improve your quality of life? I don't know, because I'm utilizing my degree. I wouldn't say I have a better standard of life than Jordan, who's not utilizing her degree, or even somebody.
Would you have the standard of life you have now without your degree, though?
Without my degree? I mean, not if I wanted to be in the role that I'm in now, but if I wanted to be, I mean, I feel like there's some stay-at-home moms who have a good quality of life and don't have a degree.
I think that's what Brandon's saying. Is like, if you look at your job right now, do you think you would have been able to accomplish what you've accomplished without your degree?
Not at all. But I don't think
that's not what I'm saying.
Does it?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I won't lie. I think it gets you in the door, and if getting in the door enhances your quality of life, then.
So I think that when you talk about quality of life, you have to, in a sense, you have to sometimes compare apples. You have to compare fruit, whether it's apples and oranges, apples and pears, apples and pineapples, whatever you want to call it. But you have to compare fruit. So when you talk about life, there's a certain, like, we all have a right to pursue happiness, right? But everybody can call that happiness whatever they want to call it. But it's the idea is to pursue happiness. And you have to put happiness on a spectrum, on a scale. To which the same thing for life, quality of life, it has to mean something. You want to call it socioeconomic status, or the very fact that if you're over the poverty line, you're guaranteed to have a higher quality of life than someone underneath the poverty line. And then it increases until you get to maybe like $100,000. Then once you get $100,000, it doesn't matter how much you make after that. It's not going to change your quality of life. So there are metrics out there for really measuring quality of life, and how much you make and the job you have with how much you make definitely factor into that. So I guess that's the point.
Does that take into account does that take into account like generally jobs that require higher education are probably your more stressful jobs, right?
No.
The
most stressful job is being a pilot.
Esthetician.
Is it?
No, it's not. You want to bet? Look it up right now. Look it up right now.
The most stressful.
Look it up right now. The most stressful job in America is being a pilot.
It's an anesthesiologist.
No, it's not.
What about ER doctor?
That might be number 2. Look it up right now.
But being a pilot takes a lot of school.
Not really.
You got to be in school. I thought you were in school like forever. No, it take a lot of money, not a lot of school. A lot of money.
Most stressful job.
But I mean, like, does that take any account? So, like, doctors, burnout is like one of the huge American health system issue, American healthcare issues right now. Doctors don't have a good quality of life. They have a lot of money, prestigious degree, But like whether they have a good quality of life, I think is debatable.
Life probably ain't.
What I just looked up, the most stressful job is an enlisted military personnel.
Okay, well, still, that doesn't require formal education. What's next?
It does require formal education. They sit through training. Is that not formal?
Next is a firefighter.
No formal education. Yes, it is.
Firefighter?
I was going to say, wait.
Sexton definitely goes to some schooling. And then after firefighter is an airline pilot.
Then a who?
Coordinator, a police officer,
an
event coordinator.
But you gotta see what they do when they say stressful though. Like stressful could be like you got a lot of people to. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That is
right, like an event planner.
We got 5 minutes, by the way.
And we've gotten
so 5 minutes. So I guess the final question that I want you all to answer for our lovely listeners is for a parent whose child is like in high school and they're trying to decide what their child should do, or even like a student who's in high school, what is one thing that you would tell them about suffering well post college based off your experience?
Post high school first.
That's another conversation for another day. We're talking about college.
If you don't know what
What'd you say?
Skip it.
College, if you don't know what you want to do. Career school in high school. Career center, whichever one of those, to figure out what I want to do for a career. But I just think really taking time to figure out what you want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do, I don't say just go to college and spend all that money.
And then don't just listen to a teacher.
I think that's like
Sloan was right. I really should have went into politics, and I just didn't.
See, okay, so what I would say would be, you should. What we don't do a lot of times in high school is prepare students for what's after high school, in a sense of what's best for them. We either say everybody should go to college, or I mean that's the message right now. Everybody should go to college. It's not like, okay, how do you find out what you should go to college for? But everybody should go to college, and I think that's the problem that happens sometimes. And our guidance counselors are being underutilized or misdirected, and they have a million different other things to do. But we have to put kids in college for a purpose, for a certain purpose, and not just to go. So that they're thinking of what comes next. It's more like I think that's huge. So if you're in high school and you're trying to figure out what you want to go for, definitely go to college if that's an option for you and you're not dead set on a career. Because I mean, it wouldn't take long to get data that says if you start a career, the chances of you actually going back to college are very slim. The chances of you going back for any formal education is very slim. So I would suggest that you go ahead and go to college. You don't declare a major yet. Just get your prereqs out of the way.
Go to a junior college and do that.
Yeah, that's college still. That's fine. Go to junior college. Try to figure out what you want to do, and then decide from there where you want to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I
think emphasizing. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I would say don't just go to college. Like, don't think college is the only thing that you need, because a bachelor's degree, they say, is what, like, everybody has one now. So you can't, a master's degree everyone has. So even if you decide to go to college, college cannot just be, oh, because I go to college, I'm going to be successful. Like, you have to get experience. You have to have internships. You need to be working. One, for exposure to help you figure out what you want to do. But then also, when you come out of college, they're going to ask you what experience you have. Like, just having that degree means something, but it doesn't
you gotta have it to get in college now. So
yeah. So I would just say college isn't the end all be all. It's important, definitely important, but that alone is not going to give you the quality of life Brandon's speaking to.
And I also think that you should spend a lot of time really in like doing some internal like review or like searching of who you are, just because I feel like because college isn't just about the academics. So I think that if you go to college focusing on one aspect of the college experience, then you might lose out on other aspects of it. And also I think that it impacts on like where you go to school at, whether you go to HBCU or PWI, or whether you go to a community college. So I think spending
Ivy League.
time with yourself to figure out what it is that you want. I think that what Brandon always talks about, or in my opinion, Brandon always talks about, or one of the things that he talks about, as far as like, there's not just one way to do something, and that there are multiple ways to do something. And I think that you have to figure out for you what's the best approach to life for you. Some people will be entrepreneurs, but if you're gonna do that, you need to make sure you have a grind, because you can't just be out here saying you'll be an
Lazy
entrepreneur and not putting in work. So if you lazy, entrepreneur might not be the move for you. So
college probably ain't for you either.
yeah, I don't know what
if you're lazy,
but I think that you should really take the time to investigate and figure out who you are, not who your parents want you to be. And even when you graduate, like it's still important for you to figure out like, what is it that you want to do? What is it you want to be? Where do you want to go from here? Just so you had that degree, like, you need to figure out: do you want to go back home? Do you want to live like in another state? Like, figure out what it is that you want to do. It's important.
That's real.
It's serious to emphasize on who you are. Even after you get your degree, you still need to be figuring out, okay, what did this 4 years mean for me? And then what does this mean for me going forward?
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to make any last comments?
If you need help finding good, don't even do it, Kevin.
I think education is a key. It doesn't matter.
Major thing that I was like, I ran this article. I was like, you got to be able to change, be able to learn at the rate of change. So whatever's going to encourage that learning or provide that learning, then as long as you're constantly learning.
For sure.
I think learning is very important, but I think that when we talk about giving advice to like a massive number of people, we have to be realistic. So if we can identify those who have made it not having a college degree, then they can't be really used as like stories for the masses. What's more common, what's statistically more accurate is that degrees, credentials, certifications, some form of formal education is going to give you a better quality of life. You may be able to work your butt off and be like an outlier who never goes to any formal education, a Bill Gates, a Oprah Winfrey, a Mark Zuckerberg, who's actually in Harvard or Ivy League, who's able to not get a degree, but is able to, amount massive amounts of money and pursue things that we can only dream about. But those are special, rare cases. So I think that.
So I think it goes back to what Jordan said about learning. I feel like it's really important that you learn. I don't think you have to limit the type of learning that you pursue.
Yeah, it's like the issue we have. Okay, we're gonna talk about this later, but we definitely over 30 minutes. So.
Yes. Well, thank you all for your lovely comments, and thank you all for tuning in.
Yes.
Some of the story for college educated, different levels of education, different origins of our education, and we all have very different opinions about education and if it's needed or not. So that just goes to say there is no right or wrong way to get your education. Just make sure you're educated. And that is all we have today.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you. See you next week, maybe, or the next week, or the next.